Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to some of you, wherever you may be. I know it's late here on the East Coast. Boy, is it late here on the East Coast. Whoa, echo. Um, Thought about going to bed, but of course, once I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. I don't know how I can't go live after watching the ending to those two games. I'll make the monologue pretty short and sweet tonight, hopefully, and I'll take some of your calls. We'll get out of here at a decent hour. We'll kind of limit it to hopefully an hour tonight. Let me start with the Lakers Suns real quick, guys. Lakers Suns. First of all, without Chris Paul 100% healthy, they don't have a chance to win the series. They can certainly win a game or two, maybe. They're not going to win the series without a healthy Chris Paul, who still can't lift the ball above his head. He missed that first free throw he took, and he almost shot it from his ears. He can't get the ball above his head. He's on minus 20 in 20 plus minutes. It's just not going to cut it. It's unfortunate. The Hornets, the Rockets, the Clippers, every time he's got an injury in the playoffs, something happens. Not his fault all the time, but it is what it is. Now let's talk about the Lakers, because that's what this is truly about. When you have, we've begged Anthony Davis to prove to us that he's Anthony Davis, right? And you see that tonight in all different forms. LeBron finally puts his foot down. Gets aggressive. Starts toying with Jay Crowder. I mean, just making a mockery of Jay Crowder. Even though he didn't make that first layup. It was in that moment. He's like, I don't know what Jay Crowder said, but whatever he did, it didn't work. It didn't work. I don't know what he said to piss off that man to go ISO 3 straight times. But why would you say anything to LeBron James to set him off? The whole point of staying out of his ear was maybe he'll stay hibernating this entire series and not turn into 2016 LeBron on us. Well, when he starts demanding the ball like that and goes into isolation, doesn't matter if Jay Crowder has perfect defense on him or not. The up and under just proves that Father Time is not undefeated. Father Time is still struggling to get this win against LeBron James. Him demanding the ball in the post, those plays. If he does that and takes control of the offense just to dispose of his opponent because he feels like it's sport, like it's recreation, that's what that felt like. The LeBron that knows he's better than everyone else on the court, and I'm going to show it off real quick. You had Andre Drummond acting out his move on the bench as he was doing it. That's the LeBron James that no team is ever going to beat the Lakers if LeBron starts playing like that when he's on the ball running the offense. But there are a couple schematic things, by the way, which I do want to bring up that the Lakers really showed off in the first half. And the first of which is how they contained Devin Booker tonight. Devin Booker, at a point, I believe was 5 of 17 from the floor. Let me get his final numbers. And here's the thing with Devin Booker. Devin Booker is an all-star. Devin Booker does a lot of things right. And without CP3 out there, he's going to be asked to carry the offense a lot of times. Devin Booker finishes 6 for 19, and I believe he was 5 of 15 or 3 of 15 there for a minute. And how did we get there in the first place for a guy that plays 41 minutes? And what the Lakers did tonight, again, this is why you trust Vogel with his rotations, and then he's going to pivot his defense to always find a way to make it work. This was not the number 1 rated defense in the NBA by accident without its 2 best defensive players. So tonight, what does Devin Booker love to do the most? Any Suns fans or Laker fans watching this? What has Devin Booker done in the first 2 games to get all those points? Devin Booker is the master of dribble handoffs, as opposed to just crossing half court with the ball, calling for a high ball screen, and just going from there. It's obvious. We all know it. Why does Devin Booker go to the dribble handoffs? He goes to the dribble handoffs because he's not an elite three-point shooter, to say the very least. He's barely hovering above 34% this year. It's not terrible, but it's not 40 plus like you need to be jacking up shots from the outside. He goes to the dribble handoff because it gives him a running start to get into the paint where he wants to live, whether it's the pull-ups or getting to the rim. The dribble handoff allows him to break through any sort of traditional pick and roll defense blitzing. Because if you're standing out there kind of just waiting for for DeAndre Ayton to come up there and set a screen that allows Anthony Davis to hedge out or to double team it or to blitz it and hedge out and have the defender standing on the nails in the block so that you can't penetrate. Devin Booker wants a head start. He wants the engine to be running when he's coming around those screens. It's still technically a pick and roll, but it's a running start pick and roll. And what the Lakers did tonight wasn't necessarily a shell defense, because the shell has many 1-2-2 matchup defense principles to it. It wasn't that, but it's how it ended up that way. So when they would try and run the dribble handoff, they either one, tried to prevent it. KCP spoke to that in his post-game press conference. That was another reason why I took a minute to come on here. I wanted to hear what they had to say about that defense. And KCP was like, it's my job. He said this word for word. He said, it's my job to force Devin Booker when I'm guarding him to get him into the paint and shoot contested twos. And he's willing to live with Devin Booker pull-up threes, because Devin Booker just doesn't make pull-up threes at a number which scares you. You're willing to live with Devin Booker pull-up threes, especially if they're contested. You're willing to live with Devin Booker pull-up long-range twos because it's an inefficient shot to begin with, and also it's not easy. Devin Booker getting to the rim is a lot better of a choice for him. So what did they do tonight to prevent that? I got to tell you, if KCP was the spearhead of the Laker defense guarding Devin Booker, because Chris Paul was disengaged from the offense almost completely there for majority of the game, you have KCP way out there guarding Devin Booker, following him around the screens. And since it's DeAndre Ayton usually setting those and rolling or popping or doing whatever he does, you're getting a combination of either Andre Drummond or Anthony Davis that's going to switch and hedge. And then if Devin Booker caught the ball in the handoffs, what the Lakers did is they would put Dennis Schroeder or Alex Caruso or anyone that was playing the combo guard position and put him on the nail on the foul line, so that when Devin Booker caught that ball, he would not only have to get through the hedge or the switch, he would have to get through the guy that's cheating on the nail. I say cheating a little loosely there. I say cheating because it's not cheating means you can't get back to the 3-point line. But when Jay Crowder is shooting 5% from the 3-point line, Dennis Schroeder is able to take an extra step. Alex Caruso is able to take an extra step. If Mikal Bridges is not knocking down half of the open threes that he takes, that you can get away with that extra half step to defend against Devin Booker and leave the corners open to those guys, because one, we're confident enough that we could scramble back out there to contest it if they want to shoot it and it's a drive and kick situation. And at the very worst, they get a somewhat open jumper, which they've proved they haven't made in the same way that they did in the regular season. So this Laker defense, again, it's not a 1-2-2 matchup zone, but they have cut off the Devin Booker handoff. Now, down in the fourth quarter, when Devin Booker, at the end, when he started making a couple jumpers, and DeAndre Ayton was caught 2 alley-oops or coming off the pick and roll and was able to finish at the rim, that's when the Laker defense got a little laxed, and they allowed the Suns to cut the lead to single digits. They stopped doing exactly what got them to that point. And granted, the Lakers took their foot off the gas in a lot of different ways. But for me, the Vogel's ability to recognize that if Chris Paul is a dead stick, the way for us to cut off the head of the snake in this case is to eliminate Devin Booker's handoff pick and rolls. And when I say eliminate, of course they could still hand the ball off, but he's not getting past that foul line. We're not letting him get past that foul line. We are clogging this bitch up. And the Suns have the same principles on their defensive side, and they certainly deserve some credit there in the first half, in which that score going into halftime, by the way, it seems like an eternity ago, was 40-43. 40-43. You got to give the Suns credit for doing the same exact thing on the defensive side, not letting anyone in that paint, because they have guys between Crowder and Bridges and even the Cam Johnsons of the world. They're confident that they could scramble out and contest, and that's what they did. It was an ugly first half, but the Lakers have found a way to contain and negate Devin Booker's ability to score in volume without Chris Paul on the floor being Chris Paul. It's going to require campaign to do some special things in isolation, because that dribble handoff pick and roll is dead after game 3. Maybe Monty Williams can figure out a way to get him open on off-ball screens and not go to the dribble handoff. Very Steph Curry-esque, when Draymond's setting screens 40 feet away from the ball just to get Devin Booker open on a catch and shoot. But then you're asking Devin Booker to do something that he hasn't been great at all year. Campaign to do some special things in isolation. Frank Kaminsky gives you 7 poor minutes tonight. Campaign wasn't great. Cam Johnson wasn't great. Torrey Craig was okay. They just don't have enough scoring to beat a Laker defense that good. And after every single game, I tell you I'm going to come here and first thing we're going to look at is the Phoenix Suns turnovers and how the Lakers performed in transition against them, or points off of turnovers. We're going to do that right now. Total turnovers for the Suns tonight. Remember, their season average is 14. In the first 2 games, they have done a great job at either being at that average and or not allowing the Lakers to get points off of turnovers. And tonight, without even looking at the numbers yet, I sure have a feeling based on that first half that they turned the ball over more than their average, especially because Chris Paul isn't out there full time. So all of those advantages of having the game manager and the floor general and the point guard, those go out the window. And there were a couple times in which the Suns, when you missed something around the rim, the Lakers turned simple defensive rebounds into fast breaks. Out of nowhere. And they did that tonight. They got out loose a couple times tonight. So here we go. Total turnovers tonight. Phoenix, 18. That's 4 more than their season average. The Lakers get 24 points off of turnovers. That's a lot compared to the 20 for the Phoenix Suns. It's a lot more than they've had in the first 2 games. All the Lakers want to do is get out and run. Of course, they can go to Anthony Davis. Of course, they can go to LeBron James in the post and just make a goddamn mockery out of Jay Crowder and just playing with him like a cat with yarn. 24 points, plus I could go back in the tape and find you 4 defensive rebounds in which they got out and ran. And they made it look like that was practically a turnover if you missed on us. There was one example that Schroeder was running the fast break, and there was Anthony Davis on one side, LeBron on the other. And there was only one Phoenix Sun back off a defensive rebound. That's how fast they get out and go, guys. Alex Caruso was pesky. He did his part on Devin Booker and CP3 and Campaign. There was just no penetration from the Phoenix Suns from that backcourt. Any combination of players. And at the end of the day, I tweeted about it, and you just saw Kyle Kuzma mention it as well. Kyle Kuzma goes 2 of 12. And Kuzma catches a lot of flack. But how many times have I come in here during the play-in tournament and the playoffs specifically, and even when LeBron James and Anthony Davis were out, that's the only time when you want Kyle Kuzma to be that microwave bucket getter, that microwave scorer. You don't want his usage. You don't want him shooting 17 times, 20 times when LeBron and AD are on the floor together, because then that's less opportunities for them. And what Kuzma has done great all season, despite his shooting, is that when he doesn't have it, he knows his role. His role is the only time I should shoot is wide open catch and shoot threes. And if I don't get that, I'm going to hit the glass as hard as I can. And he gave you great defense tonight. He was always there to be in the paint, always there to slow the secondary transitions from the Phoenix Suns. And he did a lot of the dirty work. A lot of the dirty work on both ends tonight. There was a really funny sequence in which he was tapping the ball to himself 4 times. So there's 4 Phoenix Suns around him. And that play ultimately resulted in an out of bounds off of Phoenix, which led to a wide open LeBron James layup. He doesn't get an assist for that. All he really gets is plus minus to his benefit. But he kept that possession alive, even without making it, and it looked funny. So people want to dog Kuzma because he can't finish. But ultimately, that possession led to 2 points. And he's not going to get an assist for that. He'll get a bunch of rebounds. But it was that type of game in which you notice things that he's doing which are contributing to the team winning, whether it's slashing, whether it's being the first on the floor, whether it's properly switching or giving the hedges and just second chance. Those second chance opportunities are what Kyle Kuzma has. It's the narrative of his game has taken. He was always supposed to be this scorer that showed off in Summer League. Like, this guy is going to be our backup scorer if we need him. He can be a complimentary piece to LeBron one day. Maybe he can. But on this team specifically, they don't need that. And every game that they win and he does those things, it shines more and more. So I would encourage Kyle Kuzma to just shoot through it as long as you're not going in isolation. with those other two superstars on the floor, just keep doing your thing, slashing, trying to finish at the rim, shoot open threes, and just be the hustle guy. Because between you, Caruso, and KCP, you are surrounding two superstars with hustle guys in 3 and D. And that's the perfect formula in today's NBA. The Lakers are getting better every single game. And it's because of little things like that. Plus, the superstars showing up. Couple notes on Blazers versus Nuggets tonight. We got the Austin Rivers game. He goes off. That's not the story for me. The story is the most important player on the Portland Trail Blazers all of a sudden is not Damian Lillard. And you just listened to me say that and you said, what did he just say? The most important player right now on Portland is Jusuf Nurkic. Because when Nurkic isn't out there, they lose by 15 points in all of 45 seconds. The burden on Nurkic's shoulders to not only protect the paint and clean the glass and guard the other team's MVP the moment he comes off the floor is such a liability that even Terry Stotts recognized it and didn't put Canner back in and went small with Rondé Hollis Jefferson. They went small at the end of the third quarter instead of Canner because he was getting so exposed. Nurkic eventually fouls out, but can you blame him? Portland can't stop anybody if Nurkic isn't on the floor. It was a little too much, a little too late from Dame and CJ catching fire, but Melo did his part. They scored the points necessary, but as has been Portland's problem this entire season and coming into the playoffs, after game one, I remember Blazers fans coming into this chat feeling pretty damn good about themselves, stealing game one, and I'm sitting here just making sure you guys are cautiously optimistic because you won that game tonight. But you won that game because you outscored your opponent and a team that doesn't always bring the offense. But you don't stop anybody and you don't rebound. And the epitome of all of that was watching Robert Covington, who was for some reason, okay, he's in the game, but that's the time you're not going to put in Enes Kanter or maybe even a Harry Giles or somebody taller than Robert Covington to just put a butt in Nikola Jokic to make sure that he can't get the rebound in case Monte Morris misses a second free throw. You left Covington out there to the Wolves, Terry Stotts. Jokic moved him like a traffic cone, pinned his ass under the rim, and just tapped it right in for the win. You really trusted Covington? I know Covington's a good defender, but Jokic, you're giving away 50 pounds. You're giving away like 5 or 6 inches. On what planet can Robert Covington ever box out Nikola Jokic 5 feet away from the rim? I need an explanation regarding that. Granted, would they have tied the game anyway? I don't know. There's only 3 seconds left, but it's just those little things that you notice with this team. How do you plan on stopping? And if you get through this series, Portland, and have to play the Lakers, you're going up against the biggest team in the league. That is without a doubt, the most elite on the interior. And this is happening to you against Denver? Y'all will be lucky to win a game. Unless Damian Lillard goes nuclear or CJ and Dame go nuclear to outscore LeBron and Anthony Davis getting layups down the court every single time. Nurkic in this series is without a doubt the most important player on this Portland Trail Blazers team, and it's not even close. Because not a soul on that bench combined. They could go into the chicken stance where they put a player on top of someone else's shoulders. And it still wouldn't stop Jokic tonight if Nurkic isn't in there. They don't have a chance. He's going to have to play 40 plus minutes. Austin Rivers is good. Let's go to the phone lines. You know the drill by now. If you guys want to talk, request, wave at me. And if you feel like sharing your location of where you are in the world, one of our moderators over in the Twitch chat, Gigi, is tracking all of it. And we have we've got the entire map covered at this point. It's pretty cool. I mean, it is 2:13 in the morning in the East Coast, but it's 2:13 p.m. somewhere else. So let us know. Either game. Heat versus Bucks. I don't feel like is at the top of people's minds at this very moment. Let's go to Betty. Hello, Betty.
What's up, Rob? How you doing tonight?
Hanging in there, my friend. Hanging in there. What's on your mind?
So last two games we've seen AD be ultra aggressive, and it feels like his jumper's not even falling right now. I know this is kind of like a context question, it depends what team he's on, yada yada. But in a vacuum, hypothetical gun to your head, in the playoffs, prime AD, he's aggressive, he's hitting his jumpers. How many players in the NBA are you going to take over him?
Other than, I'd probably take KD. That's the list. I mean, LeBron's on his team, so I can't take LeBron, can I?
That's the list.
I think that's the list. I mean, I would even argue sometimes that I might take Anthony Davis over KD, but not right now. Anthony Davis is the most talented. I make this case all the time that Anthony Davis is, in my opinion, the most talented basketball player on earth. They're certainly the most valuable player, which is Nikola Jokic. The best player is probably LeBron, and then the best offensive player is Kevin Durant. But the most talented is Anthony Davis, because when he shows off like some of the shit that he's doing tonight, and to your point, he didn't have his jumper, but when he does, tell me anyone that's got those tools in the bag, that has those weapons in the arsenal. Nobody, because no one has his size. The only other human on earth that I will even entertain in terms of most talented would be Giannis, but he doesn't have the outside shooting ability that Anthony Davis does. So it's just because he's somehow the same species as Anthony Davis. I don't know if that's still possible, but it blows your mind every day what he's capable of. And part of that, remember, is him growing up as a point guard. So he played most of his basketball career as an adolescent at the point guard position, and you see it in his game when he's operating from the perimeter like he is the point center. And that's because he is. And he's one of those very few humans that just had a 9-foot growing spree all of a sudden in between then and now.
Right. All right, thank you for the answer. The other night, I called in. I said I had 3 questions. Everybody groaned. I didn't know the rules. Whoa, I know you're a nice guy. You're the best. Sometimes you just got to cut people off and say, hey, one question other people got to ask. Appreciate all you're doing. Have a good night.
You too, man. Thank you. Thank you. Someone that respects the rules. Okichi. How are we, sir? Says he's probably watching basketball in his profile. Wobe. I get a lot of wobes.
Hello?
What's up, Okichi?
Okechi.
Oh, my fault, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good. But, wow, I'm actually in here. Well, how you doing, Rob?
A little tired. There's been some late nights for me doing these streams, and that's why I was a little tardy tonight getting on here, but couldn't let y'all down. So please, tell me what's on your mind, what's good for tonight.
It's all good. I enjoy the show. But I'm here actually to give Dennis Schroeder his flowers, man. Like, that guy has been playing his ass off on offense, and it's just been great to see. Like, that guy, he's been hasn't been perfect on offense, but then again, with Chris Paul on his shoulder, he can't even, like, graze his arm. Like, everybody sees it. He's not right. But Dennis Schroeder, man, like, after that tough playing game, he's just been great.
He has responded well. And I was the first to dog him in that game against Steph Curry. But, I mean, he's really shown up. Granted, it helps when you're playing a zombie in Chris Paul on the other side. But to your point, Schroeder has knocked down some big shots from the interior. From the outside. He's had some nice finishes around the rim. And most importantly, he gives you the defense. That's the whole point of him being out there, right? And why he's supposed to get paid all that money. It's why he claims He's really quick on defense. And to see the chemistry that he has in the open floor, that he's able to run those fast breaks pretty seamlessly, is not. He makes it a lot easier than it's supposed to look. And I understand when Anthony Davis is running alongside you, it's like, how hard could it be? Well, you know what? Put someone else there, and I don't think it goes as flawlessly as it has been in these first 3 games. So he's been great in the secondary transition. He's been great on the ball in defense, and he's made clutch shots. And that's really all you need from him. And of course, I think he probably deserves his flowers through the first 3 games. A lot of playoffs left. He does scare me at times, a little bit. It makes me nervous sometimes if I'd be a Laker fan, thinking that it's a really big moment and there's like a run by the other team and he kind of jacks up a 3. And he made it to his point today. Like the Suns were making a little bit of a run. I'm like, Dennis Schroeder should not be shooting a 3 right now, but he shut me up, at least in this room by myself. So I will give it to you. Tonight for sure was probably one of Schroeder's best games.
And are you willing to finally, well, probably not because I don't trust Drummond fully, but he has been doing some good things for us, whether it's on the offensive glass, at least just trying to body up Aiden, because Aiden seems to be, he can't miss. Like I don't know if it's like a record or something, but DeAndre Ayton shooting a ridiculous percentage this series. But are you willing to give Drummond some, because I know he's not supposed to be like a guy that you put out there for 40 minutes. He's not supposed to be that. He's there 20 minutes, get some offensive rebounds, hustle on defense. He's really good at like moving his feet, even though for a big guy, he's got pretty decent hands. So are you willing to at least give Drummond some credit here?
Yeah. Yes. I'm still very much don't play Drummond more than 20 minutes, but guess what he played tonight? Exactly 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And he only took 6 shots. So what frustrates Laker fans is that when he's on the floor, and here's the credit I'll give him, is he only did it in the first quarter tonight. But Andre Drummond loves to think that he's the best player on the floor. So in that first quarter, this is why he started trending on Twitter, and you could hear Laker fans groan a little bit. He goes to the post, and he demands the basketball. And he doesn't wave off LeBron and Anthony Davis, but that's eventually what happens because he tries to take DeAndre Ayton off the dribble. And any time that happens, and he's in isolation in the post, is a bad possession, whether it goes in or not. That didn't happen tonight as many times as it has recently in the series. He only put up 6 total shots. So I'm fine with that. 8 defensive rebounds. Someone's got to get the rebound and clean the glass to let these guys get out into transition in the first place. Someone's eventually got to get that ball. And he did that tonight. 20 minutes, absolute max. Give us fouls on Ayton. Use your fouls on Ayton. Put him on his back. He did that. He's got quick feet, to your point. He's not always in the right spot. I can point out several different times in which I would want to pull my hair out just because he doesn't fill the lane properly. He switches he has unnecessary switches because he doesn't fight through the screen. Like, there's just little things that Andre Drummond pisses me off, but 20 minutes.
He's not perfect.
No. 20 minutes. It was probably the best that you can get out of Andre Drummond tonight. And then I love the rotation of keeping Marc Gasol's minutes between 13 and 17. He goes 17 tonight. He hits that one big 3 again. He comes in there and he hits that one big 3 per game that you need when someone is out, right? Because he comes in there to spell the minutes usually of Anthony Davis and not Andre Drummond. He comes in there and he hits that one big 3. He gives you one good play on defense, and they go on their way as Anthony Davis closes out the game at the 5. So Vogel, I think now that we are 3 games into this series, when I was sitting here, Laker fans were panicking after game 1 that this and Anthony Davis doesn't show up and what is Vogel doing? I'm like, I kind of got blind trust in Vogel after what we saw in the bubble and how quickly he was willing to completely blow up his rotations and his defensive strategy if it doesn't work. And guess what he's done? Just that. He's limited Drummond's minutes, his usage. He's included Gasol in the lineup, and he's going with AD at the 5 to close out these games. And you look at the distribution of minutes, man, you've got off the bench 24, 17, 18, and 20. That's a 9-man rotation for the Lakers that LeBron teams very famously go to 7, maybe 8, and maybe it will tighten up. But he has found something that is working in this series specifically. And I got to give him his flowers. You want to give Schroeder his flowers? I'm going to give Vogel the flowers because he has found a way to make Drummond and put him in make Drummond effective and efficient while putting him in situations in which he can't mess up.
Definitely. Like Frank Vogel, you're right. Gave him his flowers. Like that man, since last season or in the bubble, he's gained my trust. He's a defensive monster, and I'm probably gonna say it, but he's probably the bigger reason why the Pacers were where they were in the back when Paul George was on that team. But I'm not trying to throw too much fire into the I don't know what the term is, but Frank Vogel really has my trust as a Laker fan. And just thanks again for taking my call. Hope your Knicks can do well on the road. I know it's going to be tough in Atlanta. But, yeah, thanks again, Rob.
You got it. Thanks, Okechi. Emilio. What's up, Emilio?
Pretty good, Rob. How are you?
I'm sweaty. It's hot in here. It's been hot in the Northeast the past couple days, but thank you for asking. ¿Qué pasa?
Nothing much, man. I kind of had a bit of a mini heart attack watching the Laker game as, they started, all the time, they start messing around with these big leads and kind of make it too hard for the heart. But I guess to get to my question, with KCP probably out or going to be injured, do you think we'll see more of Ben McLemore in the series? Because I feel like he can hit a lot of those open threes that we're just missing.
So he played 4 minutes tonight, and he took a shot, which is a lot more than he has in the beginning of the series. But if they're going to continue to go to these 9-man rotations, then McLemore is probably going to go from being the 10th man to the 9th man if KCP misses time. So if KCP misses time, you have to assume that Wes Matthews gave you some damn good minutes tonight. I was going to automatically say Caruso probably fills that role, or THT maybe gets some minutes, but Wes Matthews hit some monster threes and gave you some real good lockdown defense in 18 minutes of play tonight. So I wouldn't surprise me to see those two share those 26 minutes between the two of them, which would bump Wes Matthews up to 30 and Caruso at about 30. And if they want to keep the rotations tight. But of course, I think McLemore and THT may find some shots and minutes at the end of the first quarter going into the second with that second unit. I feel confident in them. Of course, McLemore, he's pure 3-and-D guy. He's just catch and shoot. And you need guys like that on this team with superstars that are taking up so much of the paint area with penetration. It wouldn't surprise me to say the least, but I think a lot of those line share minutes of KCP, if he doesn't play, will probably get redistributed down within the current rotation.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, because I really love it when Caruso's on the floor. He just gives us so much good energy, and especially now with this series, it's starting to look chippy. Do you think now with Chris Paul out, it's kind of getting to the Suns' heads that this series is kind of over in a sense?
I don't think that they think it's over. They're going to have 2 days off here. Well, it's in Los Angeles, so they might go out and get into some trouble, but they do have some time to rest and rally the troops and hit the film room and practice. So I don't think they're going to win Game 4, but on the contrary, I don't think that this series is over, because even if they get swept in LA, they still get to go back to Phoenix for Game 5 in front of that home crowd, which gives them all sorts of energy. But they just simply don't have enough talent, man. If we take Chris Paul off of this team, which we may be getting to that point because he is really a shadow of his true self. And again, that's because of an injury. But Frank Kaminsky, Torrey Craig, Cam Johnson, and Cam Payne. Saric didn't get any minutes tonight. We're at the point with the Phoenix Suns that I'm going to play Etuan Moore and hope he catches fire like he did at the end of the regular season, winning a couple of those games against the Spurs. And just hope that this dude can make threes for us. We need to find some offense. If Cam Payne doesn't have it, he was okay tonight, but if he doesn't have it, meaning he's the guy, where else are they finding points? Because we saw what they're going to do to Devin Booker. The same thing that the Atlanta Hawks are doing to Julius Randle. They're doing to Devin Booker right now. And this is already the best defensive team in the league to begin with. So they're just going to struggle to get to 100 points, man. They don't get fast break points unless the Lakers take their foot off the gas. And if it comes down into the half court, I don't know how they win another game. Jay Crowder's got to make some open threes. Bridges has to make almost all of his threes, it feels like. And Ayton is the best player on the floor for the Phoenix Suns. That's the brightest spot for them. Is they may ultimately lose this series and they'll think it's a disappointing season. But if you're a Phoenix Suns fan out there, watching DeAndre Ayton evolve into this quickly, remember when he was on the wrong side of the Luka Doncic jokes that you missed, you picked the wrong guy? That doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. DeAndre Ayton is really damn good right now, and this is against the absolute toughest opponent and matchup possible. That was a very long-winded way of answering your question by saying, I don't think they think it's over, but I don't know if they can win another game. Didn't they have a 5-game? They closed out the Blazers in 5. They closed out the Rockets in 5 after losing the first game. It's kind of what they do. LeBron uses that game 1 as a feel-out game, as does Vogel. They make adjustments, and they just wipe the floor with you. How far we have come from that Steph Curry game. What would the world look like if Steph Curry won that play-in tournament game and they had to play the Grizzlies? Man. Because as soon as they got through Steph Curry and they survived that, it was the feeling of a 1 seed surviving in the NCAA March Madness tournament. Like you had your chance to kill him. You had your chance. And now it's survive and advance. They had all that time off. They didn't have to play another game 2 days later and then go to Phoenix. What if? What if? Suns fans out there. Blazers fans. Can we get a... Oh, I see a Suns fan. Let's get a Suns fan's point of view here. Jack James. What's up, Jack James?
Hey, mate. Down here in Australia, listening in. So love the radio roulette. As you can tell, I'm a Suns fan. Pretty devastated, but as soon as we got the Lakers, I could tell it was going to be tough. And LeBron and AD just look like they're getting back into some awesome form. Just looking ahead with Chris Paul and looking back a bit as well. Were you surprised they didn't rest him in games this season, which may have helped him not get injured this postseason, but maybe not because it was a bit of a once-off injury, what he's got now. But and then looking forward, how many years do you think he's got left? And have the Suns put all their eggs in the Chris Paul basket? Where do we go from here? Because I expected Devin Booker to really take the game on tonight, and he was pretty passive.
Yeah, he was passive because he had no other choice. I mean, unless he was going to force shit up. He wasn't getting 25 shots up tonight. The Lakers made a point of that because Chris Paul wasn't on the floor. They're going to make someone else beat him. And yeah. I made the comparison before to what the Hawks are doing to Julius Randle. If you want to make that skip pass all the way across the court and have Jay Crowder hit a contested 3 after we scramble out there, by all means, please go ahead. And that's what he has to do. Otherwise, he's just going to force something or turn it over, and it's an automatic 2 points. Your question about Chris Paul, he's already told us he's opting into his player option, which is worth the GDP of a small third world island country. You know what I mean? It's for a lot of money. And yeah, they're all in on Chris Paul. And it's unfortunate that this happened again, that he got injured. And it's happened so many times before. And I don't know if playing all of those minutes, because we're not in the training room. We're not in the locker room. We don't know if Chris Paul was hurt before he tweaked the shoulder and he got the contusion again. But didn't he run into DeAndre Ayton? I remember Anthony Davis may have been involved. It was just a freak accident. He kind of like clipped him and he just went down.
Yeah, I think it was Cam Johnson was involved in that too. But like, as a Suns fan, like even in some games during the regular season, like, you know, even if it didn't contribute, I would have just thought they would have rested. They played that same starting 5 for pretty much every game except for players if they were injured or not. But this series, I think, is over. But as you said, the Lakers do take the first game to just scope out and then just make the adjustments. And even though they always give the other team a chance, it's that old thing about, these role players who, on other teams wouldn't be looked at as stars, just playing in that same practices as LBJ and Anthony, Davis, even Drummond as well. Being around these guys who are perennial winners make them so much better, and they're just not afraid to make that extra pass and maybe turn over one or two because they know LeBron or AD will have their back.
It's a nice luxury to have. I mean, if you get beat on defense, that you have that type of resistance at the rim. And the problem with the Suns is they just have to be so perfect, because when you're running Frank Kaminsky and Torrey Craig and Cam Payne, just name those names. They were great this season. Like, I of course, I want to give them credit. They didn't get the damn 2 seed by accident. Those guys were awesome. But there's a big difference than when you're home playing against the Sacramento Kings on a Thursday than when you're getting the full throttle Los Angeles Lakers in a playoff series. Now, Kaminsky and Cam Payne's talent, which they have overachieved all season, is starting to come back to earth a little bit. And that can't be on the floor. They looked like they couldn't be on the floor tonight. They just, in comparison to the talent that they were going up against, they're just not as good. I think that's very safe to say. They're not as talented, at least. But where the Suns were able to win that game in the first place, of course, Chris Paul being healthy before the injury happened certainly helped. But that was in the first half. They still won a second half without Chris Paul. How did they do that? And they made a shit ton of shots. Let's be honest. They made a lot of shots, contested ones too. And they're going to have to do that. And talented players can do it. I don't know how else to tell you.
Like, the Lakers had, I think that third quarter, that 15, and we got it back to 9, but then just missed about 3 shots in a row. But they stepped up their defense so well, and it was over again. As you said, we've got to be like perfect, because LeBron can hit a bullshit 3 from the car park, and then all of a sudden it's 9-12, and then the Suns' heads drop and stuff. I'll leave you with one last question. If Chris Paul was healthy, I just think this Lakers matchup is the worst matchup with size, with experience for this team. Is there any other team in the Western Conference, if Chris Paul was 100%, that you reckon the Suns would have won against in this first round?
I mean, you need size to compete with the Lakers. So if you had Chris Paul on the Utah Jazz just because you have the luxury of Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors, that would certainly help. DeAndre Ayton, God bless. Without DeAndre Ayton, you guys would have not only been swept in this series.
30.
Yeah, you would have lost every single game by double digits. And DeAndre Ayton's been the best player on the floor for one of these games in game 1, which is insane to say, but he was the guy.
And he was the one that had the most question marks over him, coming in too. So that's, yeah.
Not anymore. So DeAndre Ayton he's been able to hold his own against the absolute most difficult opponent possible in the NBA. Now, he has to come off the floor at some point. Didn't he play north of 40? How many minutes did he play? 41 minutes. He played a T-bot 41 minutes. When was the last time Ayton played 41 minutes? He played 41 minutes. And he has to do that because as soon as he comes off the floor, it's Frank Kaminsky or sometimes Dario Saric. And God bless Saric, but he's not a center. Can you imagine Saric having to patrol the paint against Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond and LeBron James? Are you kidding me?
No.
It's not going to happen.
Not going to work. I'll leave you with this last one, I suppose. I'm not sure if you covered it. I just jumped on before. You think it looks like every game LeBron and Anthony Davis is just getting stronger and stronger, and they're not even using Montrezl Harrell and a couple of those guys on the bench. That's how deep they are. But you reckon they're locked in to make a deep run?
I think so, man. I think so. There's nothing that suggests to me otherwise. They're not even using Montrez. I'm sure they'll find a place and time and place for Montrez, but Frank Vogel will put his ass on the bench the same way he put JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard on the bench in the Rockets series. Montrezl Harrell doesn't have a place in this. He will at some point. But what a luxury to have this many options. That, you know what? We don't need Montrez tonight. We'll go to our other 3 centers. That's how they beat you up last year. That's how they beat up Portland. That's how they beat up Denver. It's ultimately how they beat up Miami. Revolving door of talented big men that do different things, and they have any sort of options for any matchups you can throw at them. Back to the phones. I think we have a Blazers fan here. Kurtz Blurts.
Hey, Wob, what's going on? Blazer fan here in the house. At what point do you think, how far do the Blazers have to make it in the series in order for Terry Stotts' job to be safe, do you think?
You know, it's a combination of 2 things. The first of which is they don't have any centers to go to after Nurkic. Kanter is not a center. Kanter played 6 minutes tonight. He played 6 minutes. He was minus 15. Do you know how hard that is? The moment you touch the floor, you give up a 15-0 run. You know how hard it is to score 15 points in 6 minutes? It happened with Kanter out there. And Rondé Hollis-Jefferson plays 5 minutes. He's +1 when they went small ball in the same situation.
No, yeah, I mean, in that final stretch there, they had to put Powell in on Joker, and that's just fucking impossible. That's a one-way ticket to nowhere.
So the step 1 is they need a damn big man to help Nurkic. Because when Nurkic gets into foul trouble, eventually fouls out and only gives you 32 minutes, he has to play a minimum of 42. So he was 10 minutes short of his expected playing time. So those 18 other minutes are going to be Carmelo Anthony and Hollis Jefferson and Simons. Okay? Carmelo Anthony did his thing. He gives you 8 straight points to tie it up. But when they call timeout and Michael Malone says, give the ball to freaking Jokic before Nurkic comes back in, and he's just in the lead between him and Austin Rivers, goes right back up to 12 instantly. That man needs some help. Is Giles that guy? They don't have him on the roster right now. They don't have him on the roster at all. No. Let's go through, real quick, let's go through that rotation again. Robert Covington. I will give everyone here the benefit of the doubt. Robert Covington is a true swingman defender. Whether you think he still has it in terms of all NBA defense or not, that's not a conversation for this day. I will say he's a good swingman defender. Norman Powell is supposed to be a good combo guard defender. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, not known to be the best defenders in the world. But there's
not really, but yeah.
Carmelo Anthony is actually a decent, if you try and back him down, he's surprisingly good with his hands, and he can D people up in the post. But if you're asking him to do anything else, probably not the best defender. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, actually a decent, can guard power forwards, and tonight has to go in there and guard centers on the opposing team. Enes Kanter, don't even get me started. Simons, don't even get me started. DNPs tonight, Nasir Little, Derek Jones Jr., and Harry Giles, the 3 most notable. Those 3, at this point, why not just try and give them those 6 minutes that you gave Kanter just to see what happens? Because you either tie the game or you build a little bit of a lead, which Portland had in the first quarter because Dame and CJ were kind of doing their thing there at the beginning. And it evaporates. Just a finger snap, and everything is gone instantly, and you went down 8. Like that. So how are you supposed to not? The goal should just be to hold the lead, not even extend the lead. I'm not asking for a lot here. Just to hold it is not even coming close to being possible. And because they can't stop their own shadow if the ball gets within 5 feet of the rim. There's no chance if Nurkic isn't on the floor that the Trailblazers are getting a stop. And if the other team misses, they're getting their own rebound until they eventually get a foul or put it in. They just don't have the bodies to compete with any team with size. In this matchup in particular, when you have Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., who's massive, Paul Millsap, JaMychal Green, these dudes are huge. They're taking advantage of everything at their disposal and exposing this Terry Stotts rotation of little guys that can't rebound and can't close out possessions. So You asked what has to happen for Terry Stotts to keep his job. I got to give Terry Stotts. I was here for you guys that during that Portland run in which you blew those games at home and you really showed the ability to turn it around on the road with some really impressive wins. Bad teams would die on that road trip after losing 3 games by 4 points. So I have to give Stotts credit there that he was able to rally the locker room to get those wins. But now that we're here, his rotations, his defensive scheme that just is simple switching. If I have to watch Nurkic not fight through a screen and just switch with Damian Lillard, all of a sudden has to call for help against a Millsap, against a Michael Porter Jr., or against a Jokic, just because they don't fight through screens, they don't blitz, they don't do anything. They just give the offense whatever it wants. It's frustrating as hell because Dame lit it up tonight, at least in that fourth quarter. And in games in which he lights it up, you expect to win. But as always, I am in here begging the Portland Trailblazers to not have to rely on Damian Lillard being a superhero, being an avenger of basketball, just to barely scratch out these close wins. You are asking him to be God, to win games. And he did it for you once. He almost did it twice. He can't do anything more. And that's my piece. Your mic's off.
Yeah, sorry about that. You're speaking literally from the heart of a Portland Trailblazers fan because it's frustrating as all get out. I mean, Dame will put his every single shot, shoot it from, as our last guest said, from the parking lot, and it always goes in, and it's just there's nothing on the defensive side, and that's pretty much been Terry Stotts' miss and switch defensively recently, and it's invigorating.
Why can't we just try? Why can't we try a box and one just a couple of times to see what happens? Why can't we try
just to try it out? Because what's the worst that happens? It can't be worse than what we're doing right now.
That's correct. So I'm willing to take major swings until something works. We've seen Spoelstra in the Miami Heat before they got into this series. He was known for going to that 2-3 zone and just throw it in there randomly to throw the flow off of the opposing team that was rolling offensively. Just why aren't we trying these things? You can't rebound out of a 2-3 zone, but you're not rebounding anyway, so who gives a shit? You play a 1-2-2 shell defense and just give up wide open threes like Nick Nurse does with his Jurassic Park defense. He's willing to give up 45 threes a game because we're just not going to let you score in the interior. Why not try something like that? Why are we out there just conceding every single screen and not helping when Jokic is down there on the block? Why are we not sending double teams when the ball is in the air like what Nate McMillan did for the Hawks last night against the Knicks? Like why is Jokic not double teamed before he even touches the ball? I can't tell you how many times that didn't happen. And if you don't double team him, then he can just patrol and just wait, and he can get those layups off of rebounds like he did tonight. It's just so easy for them.
Well, I'll leave on this, Rob. Appreciate having me on. But the final thing that I would have to say is what do you think this series goes to now? Like, do you still see the Blazers winning? I mean, I don't see it winning in 6. But how do you see it going now from your original prediction?
I'm going to stick with my. I'm not ready to change it just yet. I predicted a chop in Portland, so I think they get Game 4. And at the end of the day, they still have Damian Lillard. They still have C.J. McCollum. They still have Carmelo Anthony. They have 3 fire makers. And Jokic he's great again tonight. But if Nurkic is able to stay out of foul trouble, he showed us in Game 1 that he can be on the floor enough just to contain him. You just got to contain him enough that you can let Lillard and McCollum loose. I think they get Game 4. Maybe I don't know. The Blazers are very frustrating. They are. The offense is there. Scored 36 points in the fourth quarter. That doesn't happen by accident. If they can just find a way to close out the possession, they'll win the series. But they're going up against a team that's a lot bigger than them, that knows how to use their size to their advantage. Back to the phones. Now I found my second wind. a Nuggets fan. Haven't had one of these tonight. Nuggets Nation. What's good, Nuggets Nation? Nuggets Nation going once. Nuggets Nation going twice. Nuggets Nation, goodbye. You know what we haven't talked about yet, by the way? The three teams having to apologize for their fan bases, which I don't know if we really want to talk about. But I will say this, that of course, all of those instances, those fans, those particular fans should be banned, especially the ones that spit. They should have the extent of the law. If that's assault charges, so be it. They deserve it all. One fan does not represent the entire fan base. There are ways to cheer. There are ways to boo. There are ways to bring the energy. I saw 15,000 people in Madison Square Garden doing it correctly last night, and that's excluding the group that is passing around signs saying Trae Young is balding. It's just a personal preference. I personally wouldn't be saying things to ignite Trae Young, but for every asshole, hopefully there is someone there that is good in the stands. There's a video going around of the Jazz fans that were buying Mr. Morant drinks, and everyone was having a good time. But one asshole is going to ruin it for everybody. It's the way it's always been. That's all. Just don't be an asshole. It's really that simple. I guess it's not. Anyways, moving on. Based Dan.
What's going on, Rob?
Hanging out, Based Dan. What's good with you?
Man, honestly, I have so much on my mind about these NBA playoffs. One, to the Portland things, honestly, I'm getting to the point where I'm sick of watching Portland basketball because it ends up being the same thing every single time. It's like a bunch of threes that are missed, no defense, and it's like, okay, we're going to rely on Dame Lillard for the last 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go berserk, and then it becomes like this free throw battle. I'm just over watching the Blazers. That's one. Okay, I don't know if you agree with me there. I don't know. I think Dame Lillard is amazing, but they got to do something. And one thing I've been saying is if you're going to break up the backcourt or if you're going to do something, if I'm the Blazers, I would look to trade CJ McCollum for a legit defender like a Marcus Smart. You got to do something to help this guy. I mean, scoring is great, but you got to do something to help this guy.
Their defense is.
It's horrendous. It's terrible.
I don't know how else to put it than that. You don't get to this point. You don't get 42. You don't have 12 games over 500 if your defense is this incompetent. And I think that Damian Lillard in their offense is so good that they were able to make up for it. But
it is true. But in playoff basketball, as you know, what does it come down to? Defensive stops and rebounding. Also free throws. But it's things like this that I look at, and it's like Portland is their offense is so derivative off a three-pointer that it's not like Houston was in like the Daryl Morey era. Because Houston and those teams, they played good defense. They were statistically, I think, like 6th in defensive rating in 2018, which is amazing for that number one offense they had. Portland is all three, no D.
That's we talk about 3 and D being the key to 2021. They're all 3 and no D. That's a good T-shirt. It's a good T-shirt for the Blazers.
I swear they're all 3 and no D. Second thing, Rob, thank you for joining or listening to my TED talk on the Blazers. But I fell in love with the Knicks. I've been a Knicks, like, as my second favorite team. It's been the Knicks, and seeing the Tibbs, Rose, Gibson connection really warms my heart, and I really do hope the Knicks do pull this off. But do you really think Atlanta's gonna just like blow the doors off them tomorrow? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm still.
As a Knicks fan, are you kind of skeptical about that?
Well, listen, I picked the Knicks in 7 because there's no way in hell I'm not taking the Knicks. But my reasoning for it was because the Atlanta Hawks are better at everything the Knicks do. They're more talented. They're deeper. I'd say coaching is pretty much even, but the only advantage the Knicks have is home court in Game 7 on Madison Square Garden floor. So I think tomorrow, the Atlanta Hawks, who missed about, give or take, about 28 total wide open threes in that game too, they're not gonna. That's not gonna happen again. And they would have separated far enough that they wouldn't have blown the lead. So their scheme of the high pick and roll with Capella, which requires the Knicks center to stay home on Capella, because if you leave him for a second, Trae Young is just
rolling all day long.
too smart. He is way too smart, and he always makes the perfect pass. So the Knicks properly collapsed on Trae Young because you don't want to give up the floater, but Bogdanovich, Gallinari, and Herter are not going to miss all of those threes again. So I am worried, and I do think the Hawks take Game 3.
You know what? I'll say this. At the end of it comes down to Tibbs' defensive schemes too. Like Derrick Rose, what he brings off the bench, I honestly think he should be starting. But you need that scoring punch, and the fact that Julius Game 2 finished so strong, I don't know. I see the Knicks playing it tough, playing it close. This is a Tibbs team. This is how all Tibbs teams are. You watch the Bulls, and this is how it was. You watch even the Timberwolves when Tibbs they got to the playoffs. They played tough. I just think the Knicks are going to play tough. But when it comes to trying to stop Trae Young, it's limiting the open looks, obviously, one. But two, limiting him getting inside. He gets by his first defender, and the help side sometimes comes late, and then he just kills you.
I think we all know what's coming at this point. And Nate McMillan did the Knicks a big favor by waiting so long to put Trae Young back in the game in the fourth quarter. He's not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
I really expect them to hammer the Knicks with more Trae Young, and I think he's smart enough to see that what he did in that game too clearly worked. And God bless, like every time the Hawks shot a three, I'm like, all right, this is going in and the game's over. And it just never went in for 2 hours. And
just never would.
to your point though, Tibbs' teams, man, they treat every possession like their family is being held hostage. And
Exactly.
he's had them playing with that energy the entire season. And that's the only advantage that we ever had because we don't have that much talent.
But it's refreshing to watch. It's honestly super refreshing to watch to me. I mean, these past 5 years of basketball, all I've seen, and credit to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, they were the ones that obviously got this whole thing started. But it's refreshing to see a gritty team like this. Teams like Memphis, teams like the Knicks. It's super refreshing to watch, in my opinion. I like seeing a game that's not 100 points by the end of the third. You know what I mean?
You're gonna get that with the Knicks.
Of course. And by the way, speaking of the Grizz, what do you think of that series? Do you think Ja and Dylan Brooks got enough to push him to 7?
No, but I think they could push them to 6. I think they can get a game in Memphis, possibly. It doesn't look like that could be the case with the way that Donovan Mitchell was shooting, but I expect Dylan Brooks to not get into foul trouble. The same way he responded after getting into foul trouble in the final game of the regular season against the Golden State Warriors. He responded real quick, came out and fixed that. And I think they'll get a game in front of that home crowd. Ja is really special. They're really deep. And, of course, they give up 140 points in Game 2 for a multitude of reasons. But I think they'll find a way to get a game. So that series, I think, goes 6 with the Jazz winning.
All right, cool. Thanks, Rob.
Got it, Dan. Thanks for the call. Who's out there? Got a Suns fan. All right, here we go. Stephen C. The profile says 15 to go. I have a feeling that's going to be up for quite a while. Good start.
Yeah, getting the Lakers, it sucks. I really wanted to play another team, but
we were going to have to play him eventually, so it's whatever. Thank you for taking my call, by the way. Hope you're doing well.
Of course. Thank you. What's on your mind?
So, one thing that has been just on my mind, I understand that, thank goodness, DA is doing what he's doing. He's shut a lot of Suns fans up that have been wanting to trade him. But Mikal Bridges, man, 10 points game 1, 6 points game 2, 6 points game 3, shot 23 shots overall. What's going on, man?
He's got to be better. And he's got to be better because when he gets the ball, it's usually because Devin Booker is driving and kicking, or Campaign's driving and kicking, or DeAndre Ayton just got an offensive rebound and he's kicking it out to the three-point line as the Lakers are collapsing and get the ball themselves. And the difference here is those shots are during the regular season are usually wide open for Mikal Bridges. Low pressure situations. It's a lot different when you get an AD or even a Caruso or a KCP sprinting at you in a dead heat in the playoffs with all the playoff pressure on. It's funny how these amazing jump shooters and their percentage kind of comes down a little bit. And that's because Mikal Bridges is probably used to having the comfort of everything being wide open. Granted, he still shot, 50% tonight, but they need more from him. They need that to be like a guarantee, not a coin flip, if they're going to win any more games in this series. And he's got to make them pay. Because if Mikal Bridges is knocking down those threes, that keeps the defender from being able to cheat, to clog up the paint when Devin Booker penetrates. They do not respect Mikal Bridges enough right now to not be face guarding him every time that the Suns are on offense. They're treating him like he's there, he's good. We can get to him if we need to. And if he was shooting the way he was in the regular year, that wouldn't be the case. So when they pack the paint with these Devin Booker dribble handoffs, and they've got three guys standing either in the pick and roll, at the nail, or potentially on the block, what Devin Booker has to do to get an open look is near impossible. And I think how to get him those proper open looks that are in the half court is have those three-point shooters deem the respect of the defense that they can't help whatsoever. They have to stay within an arm's length reach of Mikal Bridges so that he can't get the ball. That allows Devin Booker to get better. I don't know how we get there in the limited time that we do, but it sure seems like the Lakers aren't giving him the respect that a lot of teams did during the regular season campaign.
100%. That's the only question I have for you. But to answer the Laker fan that was saying, are the Suns fans giving up? No. 100% staying with it. I've been a Suns fan forever. I was there when the Suns were down 3-1 against Kobe and the Lakers came back. I was there when the Suns were down 3-2. We were playing the Clippers, and we came back and we owned LA. It's difficult. I get it. But I'm still here. It ain't over yet.
I'm with you, Steven. We're dogs chasing cars. The thrill is in the chase, my friend. What do you do when you actually catch the car? It's no fun, right? We're building towards something. Enjoy it. It's a good mindset to have. It's a way to go to sleep at night without the grief, or the 7 stages of grief, or whatever it is. This is the acceptance stage. We're here together. Thanks, man. Quick side note. This was from a data science Twitter account. I tweeted the video out without any caption because I assumed a lot of people knew that the history of Scott Foster versus Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul was not on the floor for a majority of that game tonight. But did you know, in the last 10 games that Chris Paul has played, in which it is officiated by Scott Foster, they've lost 7 of those games. 7. Chris Paul and his team was favored to win. One of the games was a minus 1,100 money line. That was the Houston versus Utah game. They lost it straight up. 2018, Scott Foster. LA Clippers versus Oklahoma City, loss. Clippers versus San Antonio, loss. Clippers versus Houston, loss. That was a minus 450. Massive 82% expected win percentage. That Clippers versus Utah, loss. Houston versus Utah, the 92% one, loss. Then 3 losses against Golden State. Game 7, Oklahoma City and Houston in the playoffs in the bubble, loss. And that was the one in which he got fined for blowing up Scott Foster in the postgame. One of those games was the Little T game, I believe. The Little T that Scott Foster gave him. Little T. They don't like each other. They do not like each other. Chris Paul flopped, got up, kind of stumbled back into Scott Foster. He turned around, saw who it was helping him up, and he knocks his arm away. Make it 11 in a row after tonight. Scott Foster versus CP3 continues. I know, guys. Comments are saying I'm sweating. I got to get AC. There's no AC in this room right now, so I don't know what else to do. It's like 90 degrees in here, and I get hot. I'm going to take a couple more, and we're going to be on our way. Jackie Daytona. Hello, Jackie.
What's up, Rob? Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
You got it. What's good?
So obviously Nuggets fan here. I've been kind of in and out of the chat tonight, so I'm not really sure at the extent of what you've really covered. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on Austin Rivers tonight and kind of what you've seen from him. Obviously, I know he came from New York and all that, but I just wanted to see what you were thinking as far as his performance tonight.
Do you remember the press conference that Nuggets fans kind of made a little viral, in which he was asked, he's now like a journeyman, and somebody asked him about, are you okay with not being the guy anymore? You came out into the draft as the number two pick. You were top rated going into college, and now you're kind of just floating around the league as a bench guy. And he gave this 3-minute sermon about how he's just, at this point, just willing to do whatever it takes to win. And that's so, like, cookie cutter. How many times have we heard that, right? But if you go back and watch the speech, because it's on YouTube, it's everywhere, there was something unique about it, in which there was almost a sense of, not defeat, but realization that I am extremely good at defense. I'm not going to be the next Magic Johnson, and I will do whatever the team asks of me. And for someone that had played for his dad, and I can't blame him if he had my dad's the coach syndrome, and I can't do any wrong. He sure seemed like that coming out of college into the league, trying things that Austin Rivers should never be doing on a professional basketball court. On this Nuggets team, he is doing exactly what they need. He's guarding the other team's best player in the backcourt. And if he's open, they're asking him to shoot the ball. Just shoot it if you're open. If the ball comes to you, and you're a part of this offense, and you do your role, and you don't try and take over games, that's what we're asking. And those 17 points require a lot of, in that fourth quarter alone, require a lot of shots. But watching that game, it felt like every single one of those that he took tonight was the correct look. Granted, he makes a couple, you start getting in the zone, you're on fire, you're feeling it, and you get a little bit more confidence. But at that point, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it if he got to the point because he was doing his job properly. It's the Austin Rivers that dribbles around and is trying to close out a game in isolation, that he makes 1 out of every 3 and he thinks that one going in gives him another 5 opportunities. That's not the Austin Rivers you've seen on this Denver Nuggets team. And he did this with the Knicks in the very short stint that he had this year. He gave the Knicks some great games and great minutes, playing exactly what Thibodeau needed out of him. So it's his mindset. He's always had the talent. He's got arguably the quickest first step of anyone in the playoffs. And that's a crazy thing to say, but Austin Rivers' first step coming off that crossover is insanely fast. And he's taken that talent and harnessed it. And it really showed out tonight. And he's still technically a bench player. But those points did not score themselves. And they all felt like an efficient opportunity. So that's the compliment that I would give him tonight.
No, I agree. I just think, like, I've seen throughout, obviously, this season with Nikola Jokic being what should be MVP, frontrunner, runaway, just a ton of Nuggets slander, and it's just interesting to watch as a fan who is fortunate enough to watch the games here in Denver. because that whole blackout situation, which is a mess. But just these guys coming in and kind of maybe not listening to what the media is saying about them as far as are they legit, are they contenders, this and that, and obviously that changes with Jamal Murray. But it's just interesting to see these guys step up into these roles they probably were not expecting, like Austin Rivers and Facu and Aaron Gordon even, and just kind of show this resiliency. So I don't really know what NBA Twitter thinks of the Nuggets. Maybe they think they're a joke and they're not going to do anything. And obviously this year, like I said, is different. But it's just cool to see, and I just wanted to hear your take on it, so I appreciate it.
Oh, good, Jackie. Thank you. There's a good comment in the Twitter live chat that Seth Heek, that Austin Rivers is a lot better when his job is simplified. When you ask a lot less of Austin Rivers, he gives you more. Less is more. Addition by subtraction is a thing. Addition by subtraction worked for the Toronto Raptors when they had Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry didn't have to go out there and shoot 40 times a game. By taking some of the load off of Lowry's shoulders that year, it made him better, clearly, than in the previous ones with DeMar, in which Lowry had to carry the team. Austin Rivers not having to be the true point guard, not having to be this 40-minute guy that has to score 20 points like he thought he did. By just simplifying his role, it's made him better. I totally agree with that. Who's out there? I'm looking for waves. Manadeep Kondetti. Hopefully I pronounced that right.
Hey man, thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Where are you calling from tonight or today?
I'm calling from India.
India, number 2 from India. Chalk it up. What's on your mind, my friend?
So I was just thinking about Dennis Schroeder. In terms of Rob Pelinka, if you were in Rob Pelinka's shoes, would you be willing to give him like $25 million a year? Because by the way he's playing, he's clearly an update on Rondo in terms of scoring. I don't mean in terms of leadership. But then Lakers have gone down this path again. If they're not willing to pay this guy, and it's clearly very difficult to find a right fit again for this team. And Schroeder is clearly defensively very good. And then he's also improving on scoring as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I'm as you were speaking right there, I'm looking up the Lakers salary cap situation here. So since KCP is locked up through 2023, Dennis Schroeder comes off the books. He's telling the Lakers he wants $100 million, and I'm sure he could. I don't have Bobby Marks in here to confirm their salary cap situation, but I'm going to imagine they can pay Schroeder an amount of money to go over the tax because he's currently on the team. They could use his bird rights or whatever. So if they want to pay him that amount of money, I think they have the ability to. Will they is a different question, because if he wants $100 million in over 4 years, that means he's making $25 million a year. And with KCP making 12, Anthony Davis at 32.5, goes up to 35 next year. LeBron goes up to 41. There's not a whole lot of money left over to put onto this team. And if you sign Dennis Schroeder to that type of contract, you can say goodbye to Wes Matthews. You can say goodbye to Caruso. You can say goodbye to Markieff Morris. Are we okay with that? THT's got to get paid. Are you okay with potentially THT leaving? All to just give Dennis Schroeder the bag? That's why I don't think it's going to happen. Because they can get THT back at a significant discount compared to Dennis Schroeder. And, of course, Schroeder has a role on this team which other guys can't really accomplish. But remember, this is a business. So if Schroeder is adamant on getting $100 million and I'm willing to leave for it, that money could be dedicated to retaining some of these other guys, to the THTs and the Carusos, to make sure they get paid. We'll see. And it also, if they win a title this year and they're back to back, that feels like we have a little more leeway to let someone like Schroeder go because we just won 2 titles. And let's keep the young guys here that we've built up through the farm system. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel that even Caruso is a very good starter in this particular team because he might not show up on the scoring, but then his IQ and then the defensive awareness is pretty good. And I'm not sure like if Lakers should be able to pay the mid-level exception for Caruso because in terms of numbers, he's not that level, but then in terms of IQ, he's a pretty good role player.
Yeah, Caruso's role on this team is essential, regardless of what his box score stats say. His defense is, especially in games like tonight when it stands out, he is he is able to guard any opposing combo guard in the backcourt. He can, and he raises hell. It's not like a Kawhi Leonard defender, but it's really important. They desperately need him. He has so much chemistry on this team with the guys too. Clearly, LeBron and he's better being out there with Anthony Davis and LeBron. They trust him, and there's value in that. So I don't even care what his points or steals or blocks per game is. I know the Lakers are better with him on the floor. Period.
Yeah. So I just have one last question about KD. Do you feel that KD seems to always take the easier path? Because looking at the crowd at Madison Square Garden, I don't understand why he chose Brooklyn over New York. But then the Knicks have been in trouble for the last 20 years. But then just think of a situation where KD goes there with Kyrie and then he elevates them and gets them a title. It's a huge, huge legacy booster. He chose the easy path by joining Steph Curry, and then right now he had a challenge to pick his own team and then come up, but then again he recruited Harden, which tilted the odds in his favors again. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, hey, Manadit, thank you for the call. He wants to win titles by any means possible, and that's his priority. How he gets said titles clearly does not matter. All that matters is the titles. The narrative, some people care about the narrative, some don't. Some want to be a hero of a city, some don't. KD's going to be a billionaire. He's probably going to own a team at some point. And what he's interested in, signing with the Nets was his decision. Remember, he was coming off the Achilles tear, too. So the team that signed him had to be cool with him sitting out a year. And it lined up perfectly for Brooklyn that way. We'll never know. All right. Come on, let's close it out now. Who wants to close it out? Take us home, Brandon.
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight, brother?
Doing well, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, man. I just wanted to, talk a little bit about, because you had mentioned him and his performance in a tweet about Kuz and his effort, and even Caruso, too, because I feel like if you really pay attention, like if you were watching the Summer League that year with Lonzo and Kuz and Josh Hart and Ingram, that whole stacked team, like the second you saw Caruso play, I feel like if you're really paying attention, you could see that was an NBA player. He stood out even on that team in that league with all those guys. So it's just good to see him stick around with this team. And then Kuz, man, his defense and everything else, like you were saying, not many people understand his value when he's not scoring because, the memes and, he's Kuz, so he's jokes. He gets them, and
of course.
It is what it is. But, I'll never forget, it was last season against the Raptors. I think it was the first game the Lakers lost. But Pascal Siakam did stuff to Kuz that night that made me – I was over, bro. I was like, please get dude out of the Laker uniform. He clearly don't care about nothing but getting buckets and yada, yada. And since that game, I swear you could go back and watch the tape. Siakam, the stats for that game, it was bad. Every possession down the court, down the stretch, he was going at Kuz. But I swear, since that game, Kuz has made
he's turned his whole thing around, like defensively, rebounding. I really think that game, it woke him up because if I remember correctly, that was the first game the Lakers lost that season. So like his growth from where he was to what he does now, and him not being phased by 2 for 12, which just means he's gonna crash the glass harder, and it's dope. And I just people need to. I'm glad you put that tweet out so people can understand. Like it's way more than scoring.
It is.
Period.
Yeah, I've been on this Kuz doing the dirty work train. Between him and Caruso have been responsible for a lot of KCP as well. But those two specifically, were drafted or came up through the G League. And I can remember as far back, I was sitting behind LeBron on that Lonzo, Caruso, Josh Hart Summer League team. And I got a tip that LeBron was coming to that. So I stationed myself in the media seat behind him just in case he actually did show up. And I'll never forget, because the Lakers were balling that game, that LeBron was all sorts of jacked up for that. Yeah, dude, he was all sorts of jacked up seeing these young guys play. And I remember him standing up and just giving Caruso a huge pat on the ass after it wasn't an and one, but he fell over after finishing at the rim like nicely in transition, and that clearly got LeBron up out of his seat to help him up, pick him up off the ground, slap him on the ass, and get him back on defense. I'm like, from that moment on, I was like, this dude may get along. Like, if you get that respect from LeBron here at Summer League when he's in streetwear like that, it has transpired to the point now that there's clearly trust between them. And Kuzma on that team as well. To your point, he came into the league even probably thinking himself that I'm going to be a bucket getter. Because that's what I was at Utah. I'm good at scoring. I'm tall. I'm athletic. I should be the guy at some point. And you're not going to be ever the guy on a team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So what you have to be is exactly what Caruso, and KCP, what their roles are. And the hustle that he gave tonight was standout. It was enough for me to mention it after the game, just because it's something that I saw. And of course, like the statistics from shooting would prove otherwise. And he gets clowned for a lot of reasons, and he's taken that rollover from Danny Green. But Danny Green was an essential part of winning that title last year on the defensive side and knocking down corner threes. He did what he.
Three-time champ right there.
That's a 3-time champ, but he was also trending on Twitter for negative reasons every single game because he airballed some three to start off the game and piss off the fan base. Kuzma will do things like that to piss off the fan base because he's very not hateable, but he's a lightning rod for content. So watching him play tonight in that way and put his stamp on the game in a way that didn't include scoring is proof that Kuzma's game has become well-rounded enough that he can be on the floor, give you 25 minutes, not shoot well, and still contribute. You can't say that about a majority of NBA players because they have one role, and if they don't do it right, they get yanked. Kuzma now, you feel like, has multiple of them, and that's not something you can say just a season and a half ago.
Nah, man, shout out to Kuz, bro. When you mentioned him coming in thinking he had all the green lights, that rookie year, when he caught everybody by surprise, I feel like he gave credence to that, and for him to hit a somewhat of a wall and figure that out just from the pure basketball's perspective, that's beautiful to see because it could have gone an entirely different way, but dude locked in, and now obviously he's a champion, and the real ones probably won't be questioning his value. If you getting off your 2 for 12 jokes, then it's just clear we're not supposed to be having this hoop conversation right now.
Yeah, you better believe if LeBron was upset with Kuzma because he was shooting when he wasn't supposed to, or he was trying to take over the game, or something like that, his ass would have been out of there in 2 seconds. If Coach Vogel didn't take him out, Coach LeBron would have taken him out. But Kuzma's still out there. And there are nights in which he does get pulled, but that's usually because someone else has it. But tonight, when he didn't have it, he still found a spot on the team because he was producing. So, again, if he's in there for a reason.
Absolutely, man. No, I appreciate you. That's literally it. Just wanted to give my boys some love out here. You are a wild boy, though, for picking the Clippers once again. I have to say, bro, come on. I know you're hearing it already, but all right, bro. I hope this is the last time for a long time. I know this series ain't over, but all right, I'm gonna get off your head. Well,
No, I deserve it. I deserve it, Brandon. It's to your point. Series isn't over yet. We still got a game to play. We'll go win game 3. I bought the dip. I'm doubling down. I bought the dip. But yeah, the Clippers team that I watched this entire season, it wasn't anything against the Lakers. Of course, I think the Lakers are still going to compete for a championship, regardless of what I think of the Clippers. But that team that I watched is not translating right now to this series, and we're in some deep shit. I'm in some deep shit.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but a Clipper's a Clipper. Like, it's just that simple.
I wish it was. And then if it was that easy, I wouldn't have picked them. But I don't believe that to be true.
Brother, as a Knicks fan, seeing y'all, rebound, it's different though. The Knicks had greatness before, bro. What the Clippers they the Clippers, man. It's bad. It's bad business. No way you tank to get the man that fries you. No way you do that. And then what does he do? He goes out and fries you, and you just don't have It's amazing that the Clippers find a way to out-Clipper themselves every year. I swear to you, it's beautiful
I'll tell you, though, if they win this series, my friend, if they find a way to come back, Kawhi's done it before, down 0-2 to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
If he does this shit again and they get through this series, all of that, it's just the Clippers. It's just that. I mean, you talk about a team facing adversity. That will be pure locker room material to get them through. So let's wait. I'll be here to dig myself a grave if they lose game 3. But that game has not been played yet, and they're favored for a reason.
Hey, are they though? Because you know what? I don't know how you watch those 2 games and what answer do they have for Luka? And that's just real. Like, what Kawhi? If he can't guard him, if Paul George is too small still for Luka, I don't know. He's controlling the entire game. It's not even like he's just scoring. It's just he's Luka, so you know what he does. But I don't know how they're gonna find them answers, man. Rondo is the only reason why I was concerned about the Clippers. Because he's Rondo, and we know that playoff Rondo exists and is a very real thing. But I don't even know if he could. And I heard he was yelling at people on the bench. But if he could pull some magic again, that's the only way I see it happening. Because nobody else on that team can control. Well, Kawhi, but shoot, he has to do it. Can control a game like Luka can right now, especially in this matchup. The Mavericks just see the Clippers, and it's like they see food. Like. It's like they just foam at the mouths. Like, yeah, we get to show what we got. I don't know. That matchup is just bad business for the Clippers, and they tank to get it. It's amazing.
The stars have aligned for a perfect disaster, my friend.
It's amazing. All right, now, for real, have a good one, brother.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you.
Thanks, man. All right, Twitter Spaces. I'm going to call it a night. Say goodbye to the guys on Twitch in the after show if you want to come hang out for a minute or two. Everyone's telling me in the Twitter live chat, man, please go to bed. Chris Paul's Twitter is supposedly hacked. Should I check that out real quick? Let's see. Is he hacked? He is indeed hacked. Wow. Chris Paul has been hacked. Go head on over to Chris Paul's Twitter right as I hang up on you guys. He has indeed been hacked, and there are some tweets. say the ring. It starts with Mickey Mouse ring. You want to screenshot a couple of these? By all means, go right ahead. All right. This the sound you're about to hear is me screenshotting. So I will see y'all later. Take your calls next time. All right, Twitch. I gotta read all of these Chris Paul in Twitter Live. I'm still here. I'm not just bullying. I'm trying to go to bed, but y'all won't let me. And now CP3 got hacked, and all these tweets are very funny. Mickey Mouse ring. I want to retweet it so bad. Working from home as we speak. Oh, man. Too bad. All right, what's up, guys? I'm here. So hacked. It's late at night too, so those tweets aren't going to go anywhere for a while. All of his team is probably sleeping. If you're ever going to hack somebody, hack them at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, because you don't have to worry about those tweets getting deleted till they wake up. What would I tweet if I hacked CP3? I would say I should have gone to the Knicks in 2009, because that was when it was super close. Not 2009, 2012, I think it was. Maybe it was 2009. Whatever that first. I've not been hacked. I change my password pretty often. Bring back the closing ceremonies? Yeah, I haven't done those in a while. I'm sorry. It's just so late that I didn't sleep. This was a super late stream last night. I need to go to bed. I'm really burned out again. No, there's not a chance I'm waking up before noon. It's supposed to rain here too. It's gonna be cloudy and not wake me up. I wasn't even gonna go live tonight, but the Lakers. I just had to talk about Kuz, and I had to talk about what I saw with them on the defense of Devin Booker. And now it's 3:30 in the morning. I knew this would happen, so. Dame has worked so hard. This series, if they lose this series, it won't be because he didn't show up. Love you guys too. It's always nice to be able to come in here to a group of people, especially Twitter Live as well, hanging out. But bunch of people who get the show, who get it. I have enough people in my mentions as if you've ever opened up one of my tweets. There's no point in even me reading the damn tweets unless I'm talking about real basketball. It's all just like trolls and SpongeBob memes that I've seen 10,000 times, and all of these Zoomers on NBA Twitter. I can't even tweet. Like I would put out a tweet sometimes that I know is going to get a reaction, but they don't know me and they don't know what I'm referring to. So I can't even that's the whole point of creating the burner accounts, was I can tweet to an audience that knows what I'm talking about. And I can't put those tweets out on the main, ones that it's just me with my attitude, because most people don't understand what it is. Some people just recently followed. You heard someone in the Twitter Spaces say they just started following a couple days ago, and I have to remember there are a shit ton of people like that. There's thousands of new people following the account every day, and they don't know me. They don't know us. They don't know what we've been through with the pizza rolls and the periscopes and shit. So Wobtober, all the above. But yeah, it doesn't bother me. I just know that it exists, and that's all. We love you too, Gigi. Do I think whoever wins game 4? No, I think LA wins that series regardless. Yeah, burner accounts still exist. My burner accounts is easy. It's at WobBurner. It's not that difficult to find. Twitter, NBA, or not NBA Twitter, Twitter Live, I see y'all. CP3, slander will reach levels not seen since 2016 if the Clippers lose tomorrow. Well, yeah. If they go down 3-0, it's probably over, but it's not officially over. I'm just going to keep saying that. Still miss buckets, me too. How close I was, guys, to getting buckets back. One day I'll tell you the story. One day. But if I told you who the co-hosts were, y'all would have shit a brick. Shit a brick for season 3 of Buckets, and it fell apart at the 2-yard line. In about beginning of March. All the contracts were done to. All the money had been agreed to. It fell apart. Oh well. Perner thoughts. One day though, I think the I have to. I can't. I can't reveal. That'll be story time for another day. But the goal of the account. At some point, I have to leave the internet. I can't be doing this. I'm burned out now. I'll make it to the end of the season. I'll reevaluate. But I can't keep doing this for another. I've been doing it for 7 years, 8 years. Been on Twitter for 11. I either have to find a way to not watch every single dribble of every single game. Maybe being in LA when I move out there will help. I can get my life back a little bit in terms of going out, social, normal hours. But the goal as always is to exit some way, somehow. And it's tough to sell. It would be almost impossible for me to sell a Twitter account because the value in the account is me. So I have to build the account around other content personalities with me still running it, and I need to find the right partner for that. If that ever happened, I'd still be here. I'd never just leave cold turkey, I don't think, but I don't know. Every day brings a different. It has nothing to do with the audience or the sport. It's just churning out so much content for so many years. And that's why it doesn't bother me either, because the people that troll don't bother me because they've been around for like 3 weeks. They don't know everything that we've done throughout the years. So, they just don't get it. There's no point in trying to explain it to them. Trust me, there'll be the day I retire from Twitter, there'll be people lined up around the block to celebrate. And the 314 of you in Twitch and 109 of you in Twitter Live at the moment, I will miss. I can always come back though. I can always find a way to communicate with you guys. It's not like I'm going to leave. I just don't know if it'll be 24/7. I don't think anyone will ever be 24/7 for their entire life. It's 24/7 right now. It's 3:36 in the morning. I'm still in the same shirt that I did the same stream yesterday because I just went downstairs and fell asleep. And just wake up and do it all again. You got it, Jishnu. What are you still doing up at this hour, by the way? You're on the East Coast. Hey, shout out to the subscriber. Thank you, Jay Sigrinoli. I can't read right now. I'm sorry. I'm gonna butcher your name. No, I can't take the Olympics off. There's gonna be basketball played at the Olympics, and there's summer league right after it. God. I'm already dreading it. You guys give me life too. No hype train. I gotta go. How many of these CP3 tweets are gonna happen? Let's see. What else did he tweet? Oh my god. Oh my god. Too funny. I mean, it's not funny. It kind of is, I guess. I don't know. It wouldn't be funny if it was me. Alright, guys. If we got an Antarctica caller, I would do a hot tub stream, yeah, for sure. But I would never trust that you're in Antarctica calling me, so Good luck proving it. 90 people. Gigi's keeping track. We had another India caller. We had a Sydney, Australia. She's keeping track of all the people that share their location with us. If you want to follow that map, I put it on the timeline earlier. We are worldwide. How scary would Denver be with Murray healthy? They would be in the conference finals probably. Yeah, I think you just do exclamation point www to get the map. See you later, NBA Ace. See you later, Twitter Live. See you later, Twitch. Till next time, my friends.